give the floor to the representative of the Russian Federation.
Thank you, President. We thank the Special Representative of the UN Secretary-General and the head of UNAMA, Mr. Tadamichi Yamamoto, for his analysis of the processes unfurling in Afghanistan. We're also grateful to him for the briefing, or rather the briefing from the Executive Director of the UNODC, Mr. Fedotov, as well as the Permanent Representative of Kazakhstan, Kairat Umarov, as the Chair of the Security Council Committee on Resolution 1988, and Ms. Ghazal Hares. We listened very closely to the statement by Mr. Mahmoud Saikal, the Ambassador of Afghanistan, and we share many of the views in the corresponding quarterly report of the UN Secretary-General. For our part, we wish to note the following. The Russian Federation has worked energetically and consistently to support Afghanistan's endeavours for a stable peace in the country. Russia and Afghanistan are connected by friendly relations that answer our national interests of both countries and facilitate the stable development of the situation. The International Conference on Afghanistan in Geneva involved high-level participation from Russia and showed the importance that the international community attaches to peace and stability in Afghanistan. We note with concern the tensions in the security arena in Afghanistan, which unfortunately continues to deteriorate. This trend is accompanied by victims among civilians and losses in the Afghan National Security Forces, and we pay tribute to the memory and the bravery of all of those who died in the fight against terrorism. We are seriously concerned, as before, by the strengthening position of ISIL. Its ranks are mainly being filled by foreign fighters who already have military experience behind them in Syria and Iraq. The fighters remain loyal to their aim, namely increasing their numbers and strengthening their influence in the country. We are worried by the regular large-scale terrorist acts in different cities in Afghanistan, including Kabul, and the victims here have been civilians, including women and children. ISIL is combining its ideological propagandizing and recruitment activity very capably with the use of information and communication technology. The expansionist efforts of the jihadists, including in the north of Afghanistan, create a real threat to security for the whole, or for our Central Asian partners and for the southern regions of Russia. We draw attention to the fact that it is unacceptable to hush up or to underplay the threat coming from ISIL in Afghanistan, and we still await answers to our repeated questions about the transportation of ISIL fighters on mysterious, unidentified helicopters. President, we have closely followed the situation in the fight against drugs. The drug threat represents a serious issue for the region and for the world and for Afghanistan itself. We remain committed to our commitments to assist collective combating of the Afghan drug trade, including through active participation in the UNODC's efforts. We must maintain our joint line on increasing efforts among the international community to fight this evil. This approach is also corresponded to by our practical steps through the SCO and the CSTO. Russia will continue to provide regular assistance under the aegis of the UNODC for the Global Paris Pact Initiative for a comprehensive effort against Afghan opiates. Would also facilitate the regional programs of the UNODC for Iran and its neighboring countries and the project for alternative development in the Badakhshan province. We intend to continue to make a contribution to training drug police from Afghanistan, Pakistan and Central Asia. We hope that our joint Domodedovo project with Japan on creating a dog detection service for Afghanistan will become an important component in fighting drugs in that country. We're concerned by the data in the Secretary-General's report on the increase in the number of civilian victims, including as a result of activities of the international coalition, and also the number of losses among Afghan national security forces this season. We note with regret that the 17 years of large-scale military presence of the US and NATO forces have not led to stability in the military and political situation in the country. The challenges have only worsened. Afghanistan is on the threshold of important political events, including in the elections. As friends of the Afghan nation, we assume that the vote should be a step towards unity and a long-term stability in the country. President, The crisis in Afghanistan cannot have a military solution. The only path to its settlement will come through the achievement of common Afghan agreement through political and diplomatic means. We assume that the negotiation process should be carried out under the leadership of Afghans themselves. We state our readiness to provide comprehensive support to launching that process. This is the goal we were guided by when we called the second meeting as part of the Moscow format, namely consultations on the 9th of November. We see this measure as a major step in developing a genuinely collective approach to finding a settlement to the situation in Afghanistan and to direct Afghan dialogue. We note the importance of the regional context in the Afghan settlement. We particularly highlight the mechanism of the SCO Afghanistan contact group. We see good potential as well in strengthening the counter-terrorist and anti-drugs cooperation of Afghanistan with the CSTO. We allocate the UNAMA an important role in coordinating international assistance to Afghanistan. What's happening in Afghanistan shows that the problems that have accumulated there require consolidated efforts. Today, as never before, we need close international cooperation, first and foremost at regional level, to turn this country into a country of sustainable peace and prosperity. We're ready to continue to work to achieve that objective. Thank you very much.
I thank the representative of the Russian Federation